And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Danny Cannell. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Barton Simmons. I'm Chip Patterson. This is Bowl Locks Part 1. We are going to take this set of locks. So we're going to go through, we are gathering together. We're going to start with Thursday's games, the 24th, 25th, the 26th. Take it all the way through next Tuesday, the 29th. That is the Cheez-It Bowl, Oklahoma State, Miami, the Alamo Bowl, Texas and Colorado. Those next set of games, starting with the 30th, 31st, January 1st, and January 2nd, that will be in Bowl Locks Part 2. We will be recording that at the beginning of next week. And so in the interest of, the people are going to get this at different times. We wanted to focus on Saturday as our big day, but guys, games are getting canceled pretty fast. And so the slate's getting a little bit thinner. We're going to add some games on the front end. Before we dive in, we got a chance to weigh in a little bit last night. Danny, you were trying to give halftime speeches to UCF to be able to get them motivated to come back as BYU was running over the Knights in the Boca Bowl. Thoughts on Bryan Harsin, the new Auburn head coach?
So I think it's a good hire. Now here's the way I think it could work out. Florida Gators, they did not, Dan Mullen was not their number one choice, right? Like they had Chip Kelly on their mind. They have a couple other guys. Scott Frost, I think, might've been on their mind at the time. They were looking at some other names, some bigger, splashier names that they would have rather had. Now, the difference is there was a connection to Dan Mullen. It wasn't so out of left field because he had been there before, had won a championship with Tebow. But the way he kind of just fell into their lap, and I think the fans were like, oh, okay, this isn't bad. Like, it's an okay hire, but it was perfect for the program. I do think Bryan Harsin is a good football coach, and I think he's an underrated football coach because Boise State isn't that darling of the mountain, of the group of five now. That's moved to Houston, Tom Herman, UCF, Scott Frost. It's kind of moved away from there, but quietly he's been, compiling win after win after win. I think he's got a nice resume of everywhere he's been. He's coached underneath some good coaches. I think the biggest question mark is how does he recruit? And if he can recruit, which I look at Gus Malzahn and I don't see him as a knock it out of the park recruiter type of guy, but he was able to get top 10 classes. Like, I don't think it'll be that much of a problem for Bryan Harsin just because he's from a different portion of the country. So I kind of like it. Like, I think it's a good hire for Auburn. I don't think it's going to blow away the fan base. I think they'll be very, which is the way they were with Gus and every coach that's been there. I think they'll be very restless. They want to see results right away. But I think he's a good football coach, and I think it'll be a good fit if they give him some support.
I think at least as far as the Auburn fan reaction, they're happier with it than Arizona fans seem to be with Jedd Fisch.
Oh, yeah. What happened there? I thought
do Arizona fans care?
Well, the ones that do apparently do not.
The very online fans. It feels like all the warring factions at Auburn went into mediation, and there was a stud mediator who was like, okay, you're not going to get what you want, and you're not going to get what you want, but I've got a Bryan Harsin for you. And I think everybody can agree on this Bryan Harsin. It feels like it was the only way to be able to bring everyone together after a tumultuous search.
I could see like somebody in that room just like, if you take a Billy Napier and you take a Kevin Steele and you mash them together, you get a Bryan Harsin.
On all of these, and you guys have done way more reaction pods over the past few years than I have. And of course, clearly we've all talked about them. But there's just, for me, I'm kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, let's see what happens. Because we've seen the home run hires with Tom Herman to Texas and Jim Harbaugh to Michigan. And how are those working out? We've seen the interim coaches like Ed Ogeron and Dabo Swinney that have, nobody, a lot of fans didn't want them, and I'm sure there were factions within the, boosters and athletic department that didn't really want them. And all of a sudden they're here. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I don't get too upset or too like, yay, this is going to be a slam dunk anymore because it's It's kind of like grading out quarterbacks in the NFL. Like I'd be curious to know, because everyone's talked about the NFL first round quarterback. It's like a 50-50 hit rate, even though we don't really technically know how to describe something as a success or a failure, but you hear that stat. And it is kind of true if you kind of look over history. I wonder what the success or hit rate is with the coaching hires, and how do you grade, like, hey, the home run hires versus the guys that, nobody liked. And I bet they're all kind of like 50-50 of the home run hires. Some of them work, some of them don't. You think less? Less?
I was just going to say, without a doubt, every coaching hire has about a 25% chance of working out, because it seems like every 1 out of 4 jobs changes hands. Like, we've got 20 to 30 jobs that are going to change hands every single off season. And so, stretch that out across 125, 130 FBS jobs. Yeah. About 1 in 4 chance. That'll be what you want. We'll see.
Crapshoot. Yep.
It's such a weird phenomenon, because you can't, like, how do you know to trust a coaching hire? Because, as you said, a lot of these things have been wrong. A lot of obvious answers have been wrong. A lot of non-obvious answers have been right. So the only way you can typically trust a coaching hire is, like, do you trust the decision makers? Because those are the ones that have all the information. But because coaching hires happen so infrequently, and because decision makers change jobs, like, no one really has an extensive track record to where we can really even trust the athletic director, decision maker, in terms of what they get done. And so it's just, it's such a fascinating, I don't know, like, I want to, maybe the search committees feel good about whether a hire is going to work out or not, because they're maybe the ones that have the most access to the most information among the most searches, but those guys are screwed up too. So it's fascinating.
Let me get a off the record tell-all expose about the times that a search committee on the conference call was like, well, this is a horrible idea, but Auburn is determined to move forward. So we're just going to go ahead and let them do it and cash that. I was using Auburn just as an example, not as a specific thing, but I would love to hear that there were hires made against the recommendation of the search committee, just because an athletic director and university president was so dead set on who they were going to hire. Anyway, we will begin. Let's roll through this in chronological order. At least we'll call the game out. We'll see if anybody's got a lock, and we'll throw it on the lock stock, just so that if you are listening to this at different times, you will know sort of where you are in the calendar. So we will begin with December 24th, the New Mexico Bowl. That is not in New Mexico. It has been relocated to Frisco, Texas. We've got Hawaii against Houston. Houston is an 11-point favorite in the game. We're looking at an over-under of about 59 to 60.5. Tom, you went ahead and got the tip out there. You shared it with us. I'm not going to jump on this lock with you, but I like the pick, so go ahead and get us started.
It's the lock of the century. How could you say no? We're taking Hawaii plus 11. Let's look at this matchup. Houston's only 3-4. Dana Holgerson said yesterday or the day before that Houston is going to be without 15 to 20 players for this game, both for COVID reasons and for academically ineligible reasons, because apparently a lot of players didn't really take care of things in the classroom this year. Somehow they couldn't find time when they were too busy having to play football for no real reason. And so you put that into consideration. But then, as we've talked about, like, when it comes to bowl games, there are so many other factors that we have to consider, like as far as motivation is concerned, or how coaches approach bowl games. Like, some coaches will look at them as another game that you're trying to win and you're trying to, improve your resume. Maybe there's a bonus involved in it for you. And then there are other coaches who look at bowl games as like, all right, we'll get some extra practices in and we'll kind of use this as a springboard to next year, get some guys some time, see what we got going. Dana strikes me as the type of person who does not care about bowl games, because in his career, he is 1-6 against the spread in bowl games. And the only time he has covered was in that 70-33 win with West Virginia over Clemson in the Orange Bowl, which was a major bowl game. He's never been in another major bowl game. And unless it's a major bowl game, he doesn't seem to give a damn. So maybe Houston wins this game because Hawaii's not great. But if I'm getting 11 points, give me the Warriors.
Anybody else want to get in on
way
it?
More than that? Can't you get a better number than that?
It opened at 13, and
I'd see
down.
it's still out there at 13.5.
Where at?
So I don't know if you see that.
No, I only see
A
it on-
local establishment.
All right. I use the Action Network, which I don't know if we're supposed to say that because it might be a competitor of some of ours, but they give you the best odds and I see out there. But if you're using your sites and perusing all of them, then you got to go with that.
I can't find 11.
Yeah, I think that there's
In the book, the Edgewater Entertainment. We'll use that one. That's your best number.
Are you going to get on it?
I am not. Anybody else? This bowl season terrifies me. I came limping in last weekend, an awful championship weekend of picks, and now my confidence is a little bit rattled. Now I look at it, I'm like, yikes, what are we gonna do?
I think we have an order of business to attend to at the front of this call. Do we not?
Tiebreaker.
Should we crown the champion of the regular season?
Isn't it a tie?
It is a tie, but I
well, we
believe
need to have a
I'm in the
tiebreaker.
lead. I believe I'm on the lead in terms of units won.
Barton won. There's no tie.
Whoa.
And still undefeated.
Because
Wait a second.
Bart,
Flew
you
too
were
close
both.
to the sun, Danny.
Overall,
Too many
plus
picks
minus.
on championship weekend.
I thought we were taking it because I go out there and I try to close out games. I should have gone with 2 picks and just take it to the house and shut it down. But I laid out there all on the line. I wasn't going to tiptoe into that weekend. I thought at least we could extend this bad boy since it was a tie in the overall plus minus.
Precedent stands.
3.9 units over 3.6 units. Barton, 60-51, wins it over Danny at 63-54. As you mentioned, Barton, you went 4-4 on championship week. Danny went 3-6. No one finished above 500 on
championship level 4-4 week.
My money line picks are factored in there. My money line picks are
Different
factored
battle.
in there.
Different competition. Different competition.
Oh.
You killed the money line battle.
Yes. Congratulations on
were
your money
tied
line
in.
win.
Yeah, you did win the money line, 13-14 on money line sprinkles, up 8.8 units. But yeah, it's
like winning the sportsmanship award.
Basically, if it makes you like Danny, you finished 15 units better than Barton on the money line.
There we go.
That
makes
He
me
beat you
feel
by
way better.
3/10. He beat you by 3/10 in the locks. You beat him by 15 in the money line.
You may have more money, but I got the belt.
Well, congratulations.
you talked down about that being the sportsmanship award, like when everyone says the William P. Campbell Trophy, aka the academic Heisman.
right.
Also, Danny.
Hold on a second. Hold on. You guys keep talking. I got to show you something. I'll be right back.
Danny did win the MAC competition. He went 1-0.
You only did it once.
He only put in 1 MAC lock.
All year?
Yeah, because he wasn't there for the second. We only did 2 shows, and he wasn't there for the second one, so he went 1-0 in week 1, and that's it.
The MAC battle. Yeah.
He put it down and said, "I am the champion."
I wanted to show you the visual because my Florida State helmet, I packed it up because we're moving. You have the tomahawks that you get on there for like intercept or touchdown throws, 5 passes in a row. They had all these 60% complete spins, all these different awards. I used to go into the manager's office, the guy who would put him on, the equipment manager, because you can't be the starting quarterback and have only like 3. So you had to find a ways to get them on there. And you did get more throughout the season, but they did have academic ones on there that actually they say really tiny. They said academics. So I'd go in there and I'd be like hammering them away. Like, look, I got an A on this test. I was 100% attendance. Like, you got to give me some more. So I was like greasing them under the table for extra tomahawks on my helmet.
Dang, out here lobbying for tomahawks.
Yes, absolutely.
Incredible. Christmas afternoon, we go to Montgomery, Alabama. It is going to be the Camellia Bowl between Marshall and Barton's Buffalo Bulls. I do have a lock here. Is anybody else?
I do as well.
I'm gonna lock it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm taking Buffalo not only because of taking Buffalo, but because I think Marshall is limped to the finish line. I think Marshall's best football was earlier in the year. We've got this at 4 points?
Yeah.
On the spread. And I think that there's got to be a little bit of a get right desire or, wanting to bounce back after losing to Ball State. I mean, could have been an undefeated undefeated season, conference championship, like that was right there. And the Cardinals were able to take it away from Buffalo. And so a little bit of get right. And again, like being on UAB and liking UAB against Marshall was very much a fade Marshall play in the Conference USA championship game. I think Buffalo's got more of a chance to get right than Marshall does. So give me the Bulls -4.
Isn't Doc Holliday undefeated in bowls games
against
or
the
something?
spread or straight up?
I don't know. Straight up, I think. Maybe against the spread also.
Are you?
I don't know
are we
about
fighting?
that. No, we're not fighting.
Okay.
But I'm going to also take Buffalo. But I'm. It's a little bit of just like a farewell, feel good opportunity to just, jump on board one more time for nostalgia's sake, for this magical ride we've had all year. But I am worried about Doc Holliday in a bowl game.
6-1, first straight up loss was last year in the Gasparilla Bowl.
Okay, so he was undefeated going into last year's game.
Correct.
Yeah, so I'll go Bulls. I'll go bounce back. Lance Leipold's been doing a few interviews, I think, over the last few weeks. So hopefully he's got his, Illinois made the mistake of not hiring him. So hopefully he's had a little more time this week to get back to the film.
I'm
going to keep my mouth shut after that one.
So I was doing studio coverage for CBS Sports Network of the Conference USA championship game. And, they usually try to highlight some of the good things that teams have done. And they were like, hey, do you want to, you get assigned kind of who you're going to talk about. And they were like, all right, Marshall. And, I was looking, I was like, hey, there was not a completed pass from Grant Wells in the first half. He was 0 for 10 for 0 yards. So we're like, all right, what are we going to do here? Like, what are we going to find? We had to work our way around it. You had a quarterback who remember what happened previous against Rice, 5 interceptions. And he got it back on track, but I think my man is a little bit rattled. So I'm going to take Buffalo laying the points, but I'm also going to take the under because I do think Marshall's defense, a little DK 2-for-1 special. I think this goes to Buffalo too. I think you kind of know what you have to do, and you got to shut down Jared Patterson. You got to step the run game, and I think they'll sell out towards that. And I think you see what happens when you can do that is you can slow this Buffalo team down. So I think Buffalo's going to win, but I think it's going to be a lower scoring affair. So I'm going to take Buffalo, lay the points, and I'm going to take the under 54.
I have a couple of concerns with the lock unity. First of all, as we have seen, the MAC typically does not do well in bowl season. So I'm always kind of scared off.
What did Buffalo do last year, though?
I know, but I'm just saying I'm always a little scared off.
They beat the brakes off Charlotte.
They did, but Marshall's better than Charlotte. And I also look at defensively, like we talked about last week when I was taking Ball State against Buffalo in the MAC title game. Like Buffalo hadn't played a good defense all season long. This Marshall defense is pretty good. Say what you want about them offensively, but defensively, they've been solid from start to finish. And against the run in particular, they're a top 20 team in success rate. And Jarrett Patterson's a little banged up. Remember, he got injured last week. He's probably going to play. Hopefully he's fine, but I don't know, guys. I'm a little scared of this one.
I am fearless. My Buffalo pick. I'm ready. All right. Coming up on the other side, we've got locks for Saturday, December 26th and Tuesday, December 29th. These are the next 5 games on the calendar. You want them. We've got them. Come get them. More locks on the other side. Next. To the Cure Bowl, noon on Saturday. One of the best matchups record-wise that you're going to find in the entire postseason, college football playoff included. 1-loss Liberty going up against undefeated Coastal Carolina, combined 19-1 record. This Orlando-based bowl game is going to get a lot of attention. We're going to be talking about Jamie Chadwell. We're going to be talking about Hugh Freeze. Right now, we're looking at Coastal as a 7.5 favorite. Total in this game is hovering around 59.5, maybe 58, maybe up to 60. Who wants to go first if anybody has a lock on this one?
I'll go.
Okay.
Taking Liberty in the points. I love Coastal. I just think that defensively they've been very good, but I don't think defensively they played well against BYU, but BYU did move the ball on them and BYU did score points, and that was a close game. And I think that Liberty's offense with Malik Willis is going to be able to move the ball and put points on it. And we've talked about coaches a lot. Hugh Freeze is one. I don't have the record in front of me, but Hugh Freeze is one of those coaches who tends to do well in bowl games. And I also kind of think that there's going to be a little bit of an FU factor with Hugh because he didn't get the Auburn job we thought he was going to. He didn't get the South Carolina job. He got passed up for a lot of jobs that I'm sure he was thinking he had a very good shot of getting, considering what he's done at Liberty. So I would not be surprised if Hugh goes into this game saying, well, Coastal Carolina, that's the little darling. That's the Cinderella team everybody loves. I'm going to go beat them. And I'm going to show some of these teams that, hey, Shane Beamer might be a real nice guy. I don't know if he was the best coach. Bryan Harsin, good football coach. I don't know if he was the best hire. I don't know if he's going to get the talent that you wanted. I think Hugh's going to have something for people this week. So yeah, I'm taking the Flames.
I like in my initial reaction, my gut reaction is Coastal, and then you look at the line and it's 7, and it's like, that's probably big enough to where I don't really want to take Coastal anymore. I'm not saying I'm on Liberty, but that scares me away from Coastal. What's the total on this one?
I mean,
59.5.
Yeah.
Also, Coastal is a very.
You want to take that under? Or are you trying to take that over?
At 59.5, I would be more inclined to take the under.
Yeah. Coastal's played a lot of under games this year.
Right. I was hoping to be like 52.5, 51. I was like, then I might be inclined to take the over, but this is a stay away or under for me.
I'll go ahead and fight it out.
Yes. Fight.
So you've got an interesting dynamic in place. Coastal's playing their first ever FBS bowl game. Liberty's playing its second ever FBS bowl game after last year getting in and beating Georgia Southern in the 2019 Cure Bowl. So both teams, I do feel there's the motivation tactic of what's at stake. Clearly, both of them, I do think, are going to be excited about this game. But I look at the Grayson McCall matchup versus Malik Willis, who's had an outstanding career, outstanding year at Liberty. But I think Grayson McCall's supporting cast is a little bit better. I mean, Malik Willis is a little bit more of a one-man wrecking crew where it's a little bit, nothing's easy in shutting him down, but it's a little bit easier to focus on him and tackling him as it is to Grayson McCall and the weapons that he's got at running back, wide receiver, and including tight end. So I think there's a little bit more balance there. And I think the ability to get 12 wins, I think is a pretty good carrot you can hang out there for a group. And I think we've seen them in some pretty good spots deliver big, including BYU. And maybe I'm a little bit influenced because I saw BYU last night. It was so impressive and what Coastal did to them. Granted, it was home field and all this, it was a different game. BYU had short prep time, but that kind of resonated with me. So I think Coastal is going to win this game and win it handily.
Yeah, all those things you said are things I agree with. And yet I just again.
It's a scary line. I mean, if it was 7.5, I'd really be nervous. Get it 7. Can I not get it at 6.5?
Let's see if I can find one.
No, I don't see it.
Best I see is 7. Yeah.
Yep, me too. I'll lay the 7.
The afternoon kickoff, one of 2 afternoon kickoffs on Saturday, the First Responder Bowl. It's going to be Billy Napier in Louisiana going up against Jeff Traylor and UTSA. Hot as fish grease. And the Roadrunners, man, they only 2 losses in Conference USA play, finished right behind UAB for that East Division title. Pretty strong first season for them. Obviously, Louisiana, co-champions in the Sun Belt, did not get their chance at the rematch with Coastal Carolina. That game canceled because of COVID-19 issues. So the Ragin' Cajuns are laying 14 points in this game. Another over-under that we're seeing around 58 or so. I went all different ways on this game. I thought that it was too big a number and, wanted to take UTSA. And I wanted to take UTSA because I went back and I remembered, Danny, who was one of the teams that provided a really big challenge for BYU. It was UTSA. Remember, got him caught in a little 23-20 game.
Weren't they that 35-point favorite in that game too? Wasn't that like one of their massive point spreads and they almost lost? Yeah.
Right, but remember, because it wasn't at 10:15 or it wasn't on a weekday night, nobody saw it. It was like a 3:30 ESPN Plus game that if you weren't watching on the stream, nobody had a bad thing to say. They also, UTSA, kind of competitive against Army, only a 12-point loss there. They were only an 8-point loser against UAB, and they finished the season strong by blowing out North Texas. Also, big win against UTEP, bad team. But I wanted to take UTSA with this big number, but I think the play is to take the under and to go back and remember the fact that it was only 27-20 against BYU, and to think that maybe in this matchup, if Louisiana is sleepwalking, I don't think that a sleepwalking Louisiana team is going to give up a whole bunch of points. It just might mean that the offense with Levi Lewis just isn't going to click. They might sputter a little bit out of the gate. Louisiana wins this game, might even win by 14. But as I'm looking at a lopsided matchup, I do think that how competitive UTSA this season has been is worth some investment. So I'm going to make that investment on the under 58.
Actually, the best I can get is 57.
57.
But I can maybe make you feel a little bit better about it as current forecast. And again, we're still a few days away.
We're in Frisco, baby. It comes.
Current forecast in Frisco is calling for 11 to 12 mile per hour crosswinds through the game. So that won't hurt.
I'm going to play this game. This is another one where initially I think Louisiana, but then the line comes out. It's bigger than I would like. I am going to play Louisiana anyways. I think this Louisiana team, see how pissed off they were? They didn't get to play in the Sun Belt Championship.
Yep. They released a hype video with no opponent.
Yes.
Billy Napier was straight up tweeting, basically asking out into the universe, who do we not get to play anyone then? And just there, I think they felt like they're about to win that game. They're about to win the Sun Belt. They're about to be the new darlings. They got Iowa State win earlier on their schedule anyways. This is a team that I think has a chip on its shoulder. And it does worry me the UTSA basically has played everyone close. But I don't think that they're going to be able to keep this one close. And, hey, wins, great, bring it. Louisiana will be nice and comfy if they just got to run the rock all day long. So I'm going to bet on Louisiana running this up.
Like it. Moving on, the other afternoon kickoff, that game will be on ABC, 3:30 on Saturday. The other one on ESPN. It is Western Kentucky going up against Georgia State in the Lending Tree Bowl. We're in Mobile, Alabama. And I don't know how the relationships work between Conference USA and some of these bowl games, but I don't think Western Kentucky I don't think they were a great football team this year. And I will admit, I did not put my eyes on I did not watch more than 3 hours of Western Kentucky football this year. I watched a little bit of the opener against Louisville, mostly bounced in on the games, checked down on them from time to time. So I would be tempted to take Georgia State and lay the 4 points. I also do not trust Georgia State to be a favorite. It's almost a nobody deserves to be favored game in my eyes. So I'm staying away. Does anybody have a Georgia State, Western Kentucky play?
I do.
What is it?
This is one of the easiest picks of the week for me. I'm taking the over 50.5. Have you seen Georgia State football games this year? This is a team that is averaging 33 points a game, and it is allowing 33 points per game. They score, and then they give it right back up, and they do it over and over and over again. And this Western Kentucky team defensively has been pretty decent, but it's not really anything I respect too much. And this Georgia State offense has gone up against other decent defensive teams and put up 30 something points on them. So this over just seems way too obvious to me. So obvious that I'm almost kind of scared of it, but I don't care. I'm taking the over 50.5.
Just for the sake of having an over in play, I will join you. Western Kentucky's got a pretty good defense, has had a pretty good defense, but Georgia State, I think the pace of Georgia State and their ability to score is going to trump and maybe even allow Western Kentucky to get a few more points than it's used to getting. So I'll join you.
Yay.
Taking things on no Sunday bowl games, no Monday bowl games. That takes us into Tuesday. We got a late Tuesday afternoon kickoff in the Cheez-It Bowl. But again, back in Orlando. Shout out to the fine folks at Camping World Stadium who are hosting approximately 9 bowl games in a 5-day period. You got your hands full. You got Oklahoma State and Miami coming to play. I've looked at this and I rub my eyes and I look again. Oklahoma State opened as a 4-point favorite, and this thing has been coming down. Oklahoma State now a 2.5-point favorite, over under around 58.5. And give me the Pokes. Give me Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy, 9-5 in bowl games. He has won 3 out of his last 4, and he has won 5 out of his last 7. Along the lines of Hugh Freeze, along the lines of Doc Holliday, who I'm betting against. There are just some coaches that you include in their bio, a pretty good pick to saddle up with for the bowl game. Oklahoma State, I did not think it was 24-21 against Texas A&M. They did not win their last bowl game out, but I don't think Oklahoma State was unprepared for that game. So I think that Mike Gundy over Manny Diaz in a bowl game. And let's remember what Miami did in its last bowl game in a 14-0 loss to Louisiana Tech. Give me the Pokes.
Do we think? Go ahead, Tom. Well, I just want to ask. Do we think that Miami has a good defense? Just
no.
Generally speaking,
I think it's got a decent pass rush, but
Jalen Phillips and Quincy Roche, and that's about it. That's not about it. But they've got other players on there that are very good. But I do not believe that they are an elite defensive unit as a group of 11.
Yeah, when the pass rush is playing well, I think Miami's a good defense. If it's not, they're not a good defense.
Okay.
62-26.
But I don't think Oklahoma State has anywhere close to the firepower that North Carolina does either.
True.
Yeah.
What were you alluding to? Are you alluding to an underplay here, Barton?
Yeah, because I mean, Oklahoma State's defense has been like money all year long.
Right.
And I'm just trying to figure out if this Miami defense can match them, because they tempt you into thinking they're a good defense, but then they give us 62 to North Carolina. So I feel like that number is too big, 59.5 or whatever it's at.
58.5.
But I don't know that I trust Miami's defense to be good for me there. So I'm scared of it.
I'm not locking anything.
Man, I want to jump on the under.
Go for it. But let me share this first, because I'm not locking anything up here. But I did include this I have to include it in the 6-pack because it's one of the 2 big games of the week. Just so you know, Oklahoma State's defense has been very good overall. Obviously, it has been especially good against the pass. Against the run, it's okay. It's 47th nationally in success rate and 50th in yards allowed per carry, which is not elite, but it's still above average. Where things change, though, Chip, and I think that's something for you to worry about in this matchup, is against mobile quarterbacks. The Oklahoma State defense has not been nearly as good. When it's against quarterbacks, they drop to 47.1% in success rate. That's ranks 96th nationally. So mobile quarterbacks have been able to find plenty of room to run against this Oklahoma State defense. And I think that with this matchup going against Derek King might be something for you to worry about a little bit.
Is Derek King leaving? Does anybody know for sure? I'm just, the reason I asked, I didn't see anywhere, but I'm reading this preview and it said the end of Miami's 2020 season means college football will finally have to bid farewell to Canes quarterback Derek King. I just thought that was an interesting line. I hadn't seen it anywhere. I think he should come back and try to have another year like he did this year. I think he'd only help his draft stock, but I was curious about that.
I think Manny Diaz would be thrilled to have him back.
Dusha Coca telling us that Roche and Phillips are both out.
Oh, well.
Maybe that's why that number's so big.
So that means that against Sam Ehlinger and Max Duggan and Spencer Rattler, Oklahoma State's defense did not play well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, is that what your mobile quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we don't include Brock Purdy as mobile quarterback.
No, it just means quarterbacks have been able to run the ball in Oklahoma State.
Okay. I'm gonna stick to it. I'm gonna say Mike Gundy. He's a good bowl coach. Sticking to principles here.
My other fear for you, again, I'm not locking it up. I'm rooting for you. But we've talked about Oklahoma State all year and about how the way their season started and about how that. So I know Mike Gundy's done great in bowls, but isn't there part of you that's kind of worried that this team might just be ready to get this year done with?
But Miami, I mean, Miami in bowl games.
I'm just saying.
Like losing to Wisconsin when they're good, then losing to Wisconsin when they're bad, then losing to South Carolina, then losing to Louisiana Tech. I feel like I've got just like a Rolodex of Miami shows up to a bowl game and disappoints.
All right.
It's fair.
I'm just trying to, I want to make sure you know everything.
Hey, I appreciate. Hey, we're trying to put shout out to Hakeem Dermish. What do we want to do? Knowledge in your mind
and money in your pocket.
Money in your pocket. That's right. We will have Tuesday night is a little bit of a nightcap, 9 p.m. Eastern time kickoff as Texas faces Colorado in the Alamo Dome. I love this matchup. Old Big 12 rivals. I love this coaching battle for all the narrative reasons because Colorado exceeded expectations and everyone's all of a sudden like, wow, Carl Durrell did a good job. Texas fell short of expectations and everyone's like, all right, Tom, you get one last chance. So it's like Texas's performance against Colorado will set the table for the offseason pressure that is going to be mounting in Austin for the Longhorns in 2021. Anybody got a play on Texas, Colorado?
This one is very difficult for me. I'm going to play it, and yet I think I'm going to decide which side, like mid sentence, mid thought, but like mid, like you guys are going to get inside my head here. So here's the thing. Texas, it's very easy for me to see Sam Ehlinger, final stand. Is this literally like final stand at the Alamo, right? Sam Ehlinger's Alamo.
What happened at the Alamo though? So what does that mean? What side are you taking? I still don't know.
Okay. So we have Sam Ehlinger and Tom Herman's Alamo, good or bad. And so I could see this being that game where Texas, disappointing season, didn't get what we wanted out of them, yada, yada. And then they're not going to be motivated and all the narratives show up and then bam, like they just absolutely like boat race Colorado. And it's the whole sort of, oh, how good is this Texas team's going to be good next year type of narrative. Or I could see this. I think this could very well be just sort of this shootout and Colorado continues to prove they are actually a good team and just flat out is as good or better than Texas. And maybe it wins or it certainly covers. I'm leaning Texas on this. I am also kind of leaning just this thing could get funky and crazy and maybe just over it. Just bet on silly. But I'm gonna just sort of hear y'all's thoughts and then I'm gonna circle back.
Over.
I'm on. Oh, okay. Over?
Yeah.
Let's see what the best 63. I can get you 63.
Fast track. Alamo Dome.
Alamo Dome. Is there some funky games that go on in the Alamo Dome?
Yeah. Games. Listen, I don't know what it is about the AstroTurf that they got in there. I don't know what it is about feeling like you're just, playing in an Arena League game where all of a sudden you kind of get an Arena League feel to it. Things just start going fast. Fast track. I think that Texas's skill position talent is still awesome, right? Like if Bijan Robinson gets out in the open field, he is an athletic advantage against almost every Colorado defender. Like Colorado's defense is not going to be able to win all of those battles. Now, if Texas just doesn't play well, it gives Colorado a chance to definitely cover the spread. I don't hate a Buffs play if you're asking for how I feel, but Texas's defense has also been bad. And Jarek Broussard, I could see him like all of a sudden a very normal run because of some bad Texas Longhorn tackling ends up being a 38-yard touchdown run. So I like the over in this game. Fast track and Texas's defense not playing up to snuff could end up helping us get there.
I'm on Texas.
Yeah, let's go. Mia Fornelli, baby.
Good.
Let's go.
All right. So this is, for me, I love Buffalo. We all know that. You've seen me in my Colorado hoodie, my Colorado hat. And I look at this matchup, and they've had a really good season. They've had an unexpected season, but I think the fact that they've won when nobody expected them to has kind of caused us to overinflate how good of a team Colorado is. Because offensively, like Chip, you mentioned, Texas's defense isn't great. Texas's defense has been really bad against the pass. Against the run, it's been pretty much average to slightly above average. And this is a Colorado team that has run the ball 60% of the time. That, as far as rate, that ranks 15th most in the country. It's just, they're not especially good at it. If you look at yards per carry, they rank 43rd at 4.75, which isn't great, but not bad. But their success rate is only 39.9%, and that ranks 88th. So essentially, that tells us that they're kind of boom or bust. They're either not getting anything or they're breaking free for, like you said, a Jarek Broussard 38-yard touchdown after he breaks a couple tackles. And that could definitely be the case here. It's just, again, Texas's defense, not horrible against the run. They're 42nd in success rate and 26th in yards per carried allowed. I think that the Longhorns will be able to do enough defensively to try to force Colorado to beat it through the air. And Colorado hasn't shown an ability to really do that yet. But then again, Texas's defense against the pass has been so bad that maybe this will be the game it happens. It is the Alamo Bowl. It's just, over the course of 60 minutes, I do not think Colorado is well-rounded enough to take down this Texas team and cover. And if you look at Colorado's wins, it's not like there have been a lot of emphatic wins. They've mostly been close wins. And then the last we saw them against a good Utah team that could take away the run, it didn't go so well for them. So I'm laying the 9 points with the Longhorns.
I am as well. A lot of the same reasons you just gave. Tom Herman is 3-0 in the postseason games at Texas. 2 of the 3 have come in the state of Texas, at the Texas Bowl in 2017, the Alamo Bowl last season. Last year, they upset Utah 38-10 in the Alamo Dome. The cause for concern, Texas is playing without 5 team captains who have opted out to start prepping for the NFL draft. Guess the only captain they have remaining, the one last guy standing in the Alamo left there to fight with his coach, is Sam Ehlinger. That is all that matters. And I have a prediction for you. And this makes me want to take the over, but I'm not going to. I don't want to do a DK 2-for-1 special on this one. I'm just going to take Texas. Sam Ehlinger is responsible for 126 touchdowns in his career. That is second in school history behind Colt McCoy, who has 132. He needs 6 touchdowns to catch him. I think Tom Herman is going to try to get it for him so that he goes down as the statistical greatest quarterback in the history of the Texas Longhorns program. And I think he might get it. The other thing is, too, this is more about the Big 12 versus the Pac-12. The Pac-12, it's not very good. It's not been a great season. And I look at some of Colorado's wins and the way that they have won. Their most impressive win, I think, was probably UCLA in week 1, which was a shootout. And I just look at beat Stanford by 3. They beat San Diego State by 10. They, 24-13 versus Arizona. Utah might be the best team that they played, and they lost by 17. So I think this will be a similar type game that they faced against Utah, similar type talent. Even though there are all these captains gone, I think Texas has better talent on their roster. So I'm going to take the Longhorns laying the points.
Texas and the over. Let's go. Lock it up. Unite the clans. I told you where I was leaning. You guys confirmed my suspicions. Let's go make some money.
Dude. To review, Tom is going to be on Hawaii plus 11 against Houston, Liberty plus 7.5 against Coastal, the over 50.5 in Western Kentucky, Georgia State. I can't even say over when I'm doing the auctioneer final recap for Tom. It's weird. It's like the brain won't connect it, right? The over Western Kentucky, Georgia State. In Texas -9 against Colorado. Barton is on Buffalo -4, Louisiana -13.5, the over 50.5 Western Kentucky, Georgia State, Texas -9, and the over 63 in Texas and Colorado. Chip is on Buffalo -4, the under 57 in UTSA, Louisiana, Oklahoma State -2 against Miami, and the over 63 in Texas, Colorado. Danny, Buffalo -4, Coastal -7. The under 54.5 in Buffalo, Marshall, and Texas -9 against Colorado. So we got lock fights between Tom and Danny for Coastal and Liberty. We've got lock unity on Buffalo -4 and Texas -9. Lock agreements include the over 50.5 Western Kentucky, Georgia State, the over 63 in Texas, Colorado. I like it. We will be
money lines. That's a regular season only. Forgive me for screwing the whole thing up. I thought we might have some money line sprinkles if we wanted them. Should we have included those in our picks?
Sure.
It's a bonus. You can do it with you want.
Yeah. Just bonus.
I want
bonus
the
action.
Hurricanes. I want the Hurricanes over the Pokes. I'm gonna take. There you go. Let's add it in there. Let's just make it a fight then. I like it. The fact that they got embarrassed last year has to be something that resonates in that locker room. You cannot get embarrassed the way you did last year again. And I think Miami does have some talent. Plus, I think North Carolina is really, really good on offense.
If we're doing money line sprinkles, I'm taking Marshall plus 160.
There we go. We're just throwing them all out there. I love it.
All right. So there is nothing about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the Miami Hurricanes have lost 9 out of their last 10 bowl games.
Yep.
The motivation each of those years wasn't enough to come back the next year and be able to get it done.
I'm fading the trend. Everybody sees that and everybody's like, oh yeah, Miami's going to lose right now. So, but not me. I'm fighting. I'm contrarian on this one.
They did beat West Virginia in the 2016 Russell Athletic Bowl. But other than that, going back to 2008, they have losses to Cal, Wisconsin, Notre Dame, Louisville, South Carolina, Washington State, Wisconsin, and Louisiana Tech.
Who was coaching that West Virginia team Miami beat?
Is it Dana Holgerson who did
Take Hawaii plus 11, kids?
He is Danny Cannell. You can follow him on Twitter at Danny Cannell. You can follow him at Tom Fernell. You can follow him at Barton Simmons. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. We will be back early next week to get you set with everything from the 30th, 31st, 1st, and 2nd, the other half of the bowl schedule. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.